I'm going to go through a short presentation about the programme, and then there'll be some time for questions at the end. I also have Amelia here, who's a level 3 student who can also answer questions if there are any questions that you have about the student experience on the programme. But I'll go through the talk first and then see if any of you have any questions at the end. So, starting off a little bit, people often want to know what sort of equipment we've got on the practical modules here. Now, you may have been on a student tour, you might have been to a selection day or an open day, so you might have seen some of this already, but you might not have done. So these are the cameras that we have at the moment. They include the Canon C100, Canon XF100, the Canon XF200, Canon 5D Mark III, Panasonic GH4, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, the Sony PMW200, Sony HDR PJ220E, and the GoPro 4. We have 17 dedicated edit rooms, and we also have additional dedicated production, an additional dedicated production lab running, editing software that we have, Final Cut Pro X, full Adobe Creative Cloud, DaVinci Resolve 12. Now, something we always like to emphasise about the programme is the reason why we teach film and TV studies is that it's something that we love teaching. It's something that we also research, and we teach from our research. So you should on the screen now see some of the books that we've published, and these books are also relevant to the programme, the sort of modules that you would be offered. So just to pick a couple of examples, and I'm going to pick a couple of my examples, my book on Chinese martial arts films, and a book I co-edited on East Asian cinemas. So both of those tie in with modules that I offer on Hong Kong cinema and Asian cinema, and this is one of my many interests. Or Jeff King's expertise on Hollywood, particularly new Hollywood cinema. And this is something that often we find in student feedback, that this is one of the things that students like about the programme, that feedback suggests, you know, our enthusiasm or passion for the subject is one of the things that comes through in our teaching, and I think that's because it's something that we are strongly engaged in. Now, obviously, employability is an important aspect of any programme that you're choosing, and this is something that we place a great emphasis on in a number of ways, most notably in a work experience module that we offer at level 3, but also we have a module at level 2 called Understanding the Film and TV Industry. So you see that at the bottom of the page, and that is designed to help you understand, if you are entering the world of media employment, what is that world like? People sometimes have initially slightly unrealistic expectations about how you get into the industry, what you might be able to do. Oh, I'm going to be a film director. Well, how do you do that? You might need to sort of work your way through. How is the industry structured? What sort of openings are there? So that module is about understanding how the film and TV industries work as a potential place of employment. But the analysis of work experience module at level 3, it's about fostering employability. It's actually delivered by industry professionals. It's an opportunity to make connections and to network. There is a program of industry speakers. There is a 70-hour work placement on that module. And we have a network of contacts. I'll show you some of those in a minute in the film and TV industry, also in marketing, in public relations, also in the charity sector. So it's also an opportunity to see how the skills that you've acquired on the programme might be applied in a range of employment contexts. Now, I mentioned some of the connections that we have. Here are some of the industry partners that we use, particularly on the work experience module. We're not confined to these at all. There are all sorts of other possibilities that people can find for their placements, and sometimes have found very good placements of their own. We had somebody working with Hammer Films a few years ago. But companies that we have connections to include Pinewood, their production facilities, Objective Productions, who've made programs like Peep Show and Derren Brown, Toast of London, WaterAid, which is an international charity, Ballet Boys, which is both a dance and a film company, and two that we've added more recently, Fremantle Media, both a production and a creative content company, and Nickelodeon, who probably need no introduction. So we're able to offer paid internships with Nickelodeon. Now, in terms of the sorts of things that our graduates have gone on to do, here's a list of some of them. Graduate destinations have included distributor at BBC Worldwide TV, casting work and production assistants on Terminator 3 and other Hollywood films, script supervisor, press assistant at the BBC, freelance producer on I'm a Celebrity, Comic Relief, Celebrity Big Brother, visual effects production coordinator at Framestore CFC, who do post-production work, celebrity booker at Endemol, on-air planner at Viasat, a Swedish broadcaster, business manager at Sanctuary Group, who do music video production, leisure and tourism office and event management in Greece, digital compositor at Lucasfilm in Singapore, contracts coordinator at MGM, senior digital producer at ActionAid. Now, something else that I want to flag up here are international opportunities that you would have on the programme. So starting next year, we will be offering exchanges with the University of California. So there will be the opportunity for students to spend one semester studying on the campus in Los Angeles. In addition to that, the College of Business Arts and Social Sciences, CBAS, which is where the Film and TV Studies course is located, now runs a summer school in China, which offers 2 weeks at Dalian University of Foreign Languages. So if you were to take up that, things that they offer include lessons in Mandarin, cultural immersion activities, meetings with local businesses. And Brunel is currently offering 12 scholarships to cover tuition and accommodation for that summer school. Things that our students have told us that they like about the programme. So here are a few quotes from our students about the programme. So firstly, the enthusiasm and constant support from the staff stroke team. It makes the course interesting and keeps students on track with their work and grades. So I know I never felt stressed or left out or left behind. The vast diversity of the modules, there's something for everyone in all areas of the film and TV industry. So as students, we get to learn about all areas of film and television, not just about the British industry. And there's a good balance between analytical and practical work. The internship scheme, stroke module, being able to go abroad and the contacts the course has are fantastic. somebody talking about their work placement. Placement with Chiswick Buzz has given me the opportunity to develop my camera and editing skills in a professional and challenging environment. I got the chance to liaise and work with people from various departments such as post-production and comedy. The course is engaging, the campus facilities are modern, and last but not least, the extracurricular activities are booming. Now remember at the end when you're able to ask questions, you can also ask Amelia questions to see whether these claims hold up. The practical modules especially helped in allowing students to be creative with a video camera and editing suite, and taught us the importance of teamwork and collaboration. Finally, the final thing I want to mention is our annual film festival, BUF as we call it, Brunel University Film Festival, which is an annual showcase of the best student films that have been made during the academic year. Now, up until now, this has been held on campus in the Arto building, which you might have seen if you came to an open day or a selection day. But this year, we're actually moving to the View Cinema in Uxbridge. So this year's will be taking place on Wednesday, May the 25th from 6:30 to 8:30. And every year there are awards for the best films made during that year, including Best Fiction, Best Non-Fiction, Best Overall Film. One of those prize winners also actually went on to be shown at the Cannes Film Festival subsequently. And the awards last year were presented by Simon Dean, who's Senior Creative Manager at Disney. So BUF is another thing that if you're interested in video production, something, an opportunity to be shown at that festival, sometimes that can lead on to other festivals, also a prize giving ceremony, which has always been one of the highlights of the year. So, I hope that's told you some of the things that might be useful about the programme. I've not talked very much about the content of the course because, again, I'm not sure if people have been to open days or selection days, so I don't want to repeat information too much. But what I'll do now is to ask people if you have any questions, if you can type the questions into the box, and we'll then do our best to answer those questions. Okay, so we've got a question about, so is the majority of time, we have a question, is the majority of time spent studying film or making films? Now, I think one of the unique features of this program is that we combine theoretical and analytical work. I think some of the courses separate the two things out. We look at the two things together. Now, depending on which modules you choose to do, the balance between theory and practice, I would say, is probably about 60% more theoretical and critical, looking at the history and the analysis of film and TV, probably about 40%, maybe 45%. If you were, for example, to do at level 3, there is the option to do a practical dissertation, and that is a film that it would be entirely your own film. You would write it and direct it yourself. So that pushes up the amount of practical work that you can do. What you find over the 3 years, I think, is that the practical work, there's an increase in the option, in the availability of practical work that you can do. I don't know if you've got any thoughts on this, Amelia, on what's been your experience of the split between theory and practice?
I would say there is a lot of focus on theory, but as you get whatever you want to take from it. So if you want to do more practical, because I did 2 practical modules this year, this was the only year you could choose do whole practical modules, and because it takes up a lot of time, it takes up a lot of out-of-class hours as well, so it's worth its weight compared to theoretical modules as well.
Yeah.
That you can apply the theory that you learn in those modules to the practical modules. It helps with context and things like that.
So which two modules did you do this year, the two practical modules?
I did documentary, and at the moment I'm doing alternative film and video practices.
Right. Okay, so I hope that answers that question. Do we have any more questions? How can one go about studying abroad is our next question. Well, as I mentioned earlier, we have this new exchange coming in. Now, I don't know if I can add that much more to what I've said, because I've said this is running for the first time next year. So some of the details will probably be a bit clearer once that actually starts to run. But from next year, there is that option to do an exchange and to study for a term at the University of California. As I say, I don't have too many more details about that at the moment. That will be running for the first time next year. Okay, so in terms of practical work, could we get help from people outside the course? Yes, absolutely. I mean, people have recruited actors and are often putting calls out for actors. You're not by any stretch of the imagination constrained to simply use what's available on campus. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Usually we do ask people outside of the course to act, and it's we usually ask theatre students or English students who are interested in doing some of those roles, speaking roles. So.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages in the College of Business and Social Sciences, is that we also have a theatre studies programme. So there is never a struggle to find people who are willing to act in films. What also happens sometimes is that we get calls from external people looking for students to work on particular projects. So in fact, those come through constantly, and we pass those on. So that's sometimes an opportunity, again, to sort of network and make those kinds of connections outside of the programme. Okay, so we have another question. The majority of modules in the first year are theory-based. Yes, at the moment that is true. Level 1 does place a much greater emphasis on theory. The amount of practical work that you're able to do increases from level 2 and level 3. So at level 2, you're able to do short fiction, which is making a short film. There is a screenwriting module at level 2. There is also an animation module at level 2. But at the moment, there is less practical work at level 1. There is, however, also something else that we do at level 1 is an industry visit on one of our modules. And there is an assignment which is basically a work portfolio, which is about putting together a CV, a hypothetical letter to an industrial employer. Okay, all right, we have another question here. Are there exams, or is everything coursework based? Now, as far as exams go, one thing I can promise you will never ever have to do on this programme is a 2-hour unseen exam. However, there are 1 or 2 modules where you might do an in-class test. Usually that involves writing an analysis of an extract. So to give you a couple of examples of the closest we get to an exam is we have two modules, one of which is film, style and history in the first year, or the comedy module in the third year if you choose that module, where you are shown an extract from a film or a TV program and you write an analysis of it in class. There are also what we call takeaway exams, where you are given a paper, you take it away, you're able to work on it, usually over the weekend. So it's not as long as you would get to do an assignment, but it's certainly longer than you would get to do an unseen exam. Otherwise, most of the assessments, there is a lot of coursework. Obviously, there is the video production work, which you're assessed on as well. There is the choice in the third year of either a written dissertation or a practical dissertation. But yes, I would say most of it is divided between coursework and production work. Okay, we have a question here. Is there somewhere on the website where we could see projects that have been made by students or previous Brunel University Film Festival entries? What I'm going to suggest is that if you drop me an email, because I'm pretty sure I can find that somewhere, if you send me an email to leon.hunt, what I'll actually do is I'll go back to the start of it. If you can hopefully see that on the screen, there's my email address there, leon.hunt@brunel.ac.uk. Then I can probably send you a link for that. Okay, I think I've answered all the questions that I can see on here. If I've missed anyone's question out, apologies, and please do email me. That's an email address at the beginning, and I will answer your question. But thank you for tuning in, if that's the right way of putting it, and I hope to see you on the programme. Thank you and goodbye.